Hello. Yeah. So this is the last panel. And I'm going to keep it really short and insightful because, like, hello, look at the panelists. And can you, like, do me a favor if you're listening in the front row? Like, tap the person behind you. Like, just tap the person behind you and then tell them to tap the person behind them. And tell them to tap the person behind them as well. Just like a little tap on the shoulder. Like, hey, I know you guys are drinking, but like this panel is going to be amazing and you're going to get a lot of insight. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Nikita.
Thank you. Okay, awesome. Thank you for your attention. So, first of all, to make sure that I have everyone's attention, there's a tactic where you ask them a question. So, how many of you guys live here in the UAE? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you do not live here? Raise your hand. Okay. So more of you do not live here. So hence, this panel is very important to you because it talks about MENA as the next hub of crypto. And as you know, maybe a lot of you are from the US by the sounds of it, right? Are you guys from the US? Yeah? Woo! From the US? Yes. So the SEC is kicking all the companies out and they're coming here to the Middle East. So let's talk about why the Middle East is so attractive. And we'll start off with some introductions. My name is Nikita Sachdev. I'm the CEO and founder of Luna Media Corporation. We have 6 companies, but our bread and butter is Luna PR. It's a PR marketing agency focused on Web3. We have 100 employees. We're headquartered here in Dubai. I'm from Texas, also from the US. I moved here 3.5 years ago. Right place, right time. Love the Middle East. And yeah, that sums me up. And maybe you guys can, oh, well, you've already done an intro, but Talal, if you want to give an intro really quick, go for it.
Sure. Talal Tabbaa. Hi, Talal Tabbaa. With CoinMENA, we're one of the fastest growing crypto businesses, if not the fastest growing crypto business in the Middle East. We allow you to compliantly go from your bank to crypto and from crypto to your bank. So we solve the elephant in the room kind of thing, is how do I deposit and how do I withdraw? Actually started CoinMENA because people were coming to my parents' house, depositing cash and saying, hey, can you please ask Talal to buy some Bitcoin for me? And obviously over time that is not sustainable, and yeah, and here we are.
Thank you very much. Just very briefly, my name is Manoj Madnani. I'm the Managing Director of Marathon Digital Holdings here in the Middle East. Thank you.
Just checking if this works. Yes. I think everyone can hear me. Hear it? It works? Okay.
It works. It's just really loud to hear yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Nick Coombs. I work at BitGo. I'm one of the sales directors covering the EMEA region. And have recently moved to the UAE. So this panel is very apt.
All right, cool. So I guess we're all based here.
Yes.
Right? And maybe we can talk about what the UAE has set as an example for other nations to look forward to and what other nations can learn from the UAE regulation-wise.
I think I'm just going to say a couple of things. This is the only country in the world that launched a ministry of AI at a time when other countries are still evaluating whether they can build a second or third runway in their existing airports. We go out there and build more airports to cater for the growing aviation demand. Everything here is linked to power and infrastructure. And if you take cities like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Ras Al Khaimah, even Sharjah, all of them, they have a unique value proposition. And I actually tell everyone that do not think that these cities compete. They actually collaborate. They follow the 1 + 1 = 11 model, because when they collaborate well, there's enough, they end up creating a much larger pie. And if you look at the AI ministry, which has led to data centers, why has Microsoft written a $1.5 billion check to invest in G42? Because data is the new oil. data is going to be kept within a country. And if you just take that into consideration, the amount of crypto agility that we see here in terms of regulation adoption follows the AI model of adoption. So that's how we see it.
That's a really good way to put it, because we get a lot of clients that come in internationally and they ask whether they need an ADGM license or a VARA license or RACDAO even. And it's good to know that they're all working collaboratively. So you think it doesn't really matter where you get licensed from. What about nationally in the Middle East, like Saudi versus UAE?
I think, again, the national agendas for each of these countries are so large. So I tell this to everyone, never eat your food looking at someone else's plate. There's enough to go around. And if you have a Saudi strategy, that's great. But you need to have a separate UAE strategy, a separate Bahrain strategy, Kuwait, Oman. And from here, you've got Africa, India. There's a significant pool. If you take Emirates Airlines' clear model, within an 8-hour flight radius, you cover 2/3 of the world's population. So there's some macro drivers which allows this entire region to shine.
Yeah, for sure. Talal, do you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I mean, adding on to that, I think VARA is the world's first virtual asset specific regulator. Like, one of the things that I think Dubai got right is if, like, let's say when they wanted to regulate aviation, you can't apply the same rules for taxis for aircrafts. Similarly, if you try to implement the 1933 Securities Act on crypto, you're going to end up with messed up guidelines that don't serve the purpose, which is protecting the investors and organizing the industry. So, and obviously I'm biased because I'm VARA regulated, and we took that decision, so I put that disclaimer out there. But I do think that the service-based approach is the best, because prior to CoinMENA, I was doing a regulated entity in Switzerland, where I spent most of my time figuring out if this is a utility or a payment or a security token. And it was BS, to be honest, because you have a security and you try to represent it as a utility. That's something that honestly didn't work globally. And yeah, so two things here. VARA is a crypto-specific regulator, and then similar to how the UAE has grown by serving global markets, we'll see the same with crypto. Like, many Dubai-based companies don't serve Dubai. They serve Africa, they serve Asia, they serve Europe. So similarly, our plans and many other companies that are based and regulated under VARA or based in Dubai are aiming to serve a regional and global market as well.
So do you feel that if companies are coming to the UAE, like VARA is the go-to?
Again, I'm very biased because we have had a positive experience with VARA, but the reality is you go with where you have the best understanding, the best connections, and the best, yeah, I mean, I live in Dubai, the team is based in Dubai. It makes sense for us to go down the VARA route because we're a Dubai-based company. If you are based in, so yeah, I guess there is no right answer. Like, I have a lot of respect for ADGM as well, ESCA, Bahrain. All regulators have their ups and downs. It's about what you want to get out of it and how much you're willing to invest. Because to come and just tick the box and leave, you're not going to be able to reach your full potential. So,
what do you guys think about this 9% business tax that's being introduced?
Yeah, look, can I just go back to Talal's point about VARA? Because I think this question is very apt for BitGo, who, for those that don't know, is in the process of securing a VARA license and incorporating a business in DWTC. And look, we looked at the framework. We've got 5 regulatory licenses worldwide. I feel your pain from a European standpoint. We've got a German license that we're extremely proud of, but it's very rigid. And a lot of the BaFin rules and regulations are based on TradFi. And they can't be applied to digital assets as flexibly as VARA can apply. So we came in and we looked at AGGM, we looked at VARA, and we decided VARA offered us the best route to market. We feel we can add a lot of value in terms of our experiences in different areas, in different parts of the world. And most importantly, we think this is the hub of the Middle East. We've seen businesses come over here. Crypto winter was pretty brutal from a European standpoint. I remember coming to conferences here, And the positivity at these conferences was literally dripping off the wall. Compared to a conference in Europe where people are literally about to jump off a bridge. Like literally was a pretty miserable crowd. And I think we all went to those conferences. I know you definitely were there. So look, we see this as a real opportunity for us, a hub for us to leverage our brand in the region. We've already got some really good clients in the region, including CoinMENA. Look, we feel like the way that I guess the top-down approach here, the guidance, the goals the country has are very important for the growth of the industry.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. The energy here is insane. I mean, look at the room, right? A lot of people compare it to Hong Kong in the 90s. I mean, I was born in the 90s, but like, you know, I think you were in Hong Kong in the 90s. It was buzzing from what my dad tells me. So when it comes to jurisdictions, back to what you were saying, Vara, you said DWTC. There's DMCC, there's DIFC. How do you choose which jurisdiction? But then are you saying that no matter where you, DWTC, DFC, DMCC, you still need a VARA license?
Yes, like, interesting question. We looked at DMCC, we looked at DIFC. VARA seems to have a very strong relationship with DWTC. Most of the VARA licensed firms are based in DWTC. I think all of them, except for Oasis, I think has an office. But that kind of was the sort of thinking behind it. Obviously, they had a very good framework, relatively easy to set up a business, a lot of support. And the collaboration, which I know was mentioned, between the government departments, which we don't see in other regions. You know, Dubai's Chamber of Commerce sort of working here to help and support you grow and sort of make connections. We don't see that in other regions as prominently as we do in the UAE.
Okay, that's good to know. The conversation's not about jurisdictions, but it's just good to know because there are a lot of people not from Dubai here who would probably want to know that. So the Middle East, I've been here for 3.5 years personally. As I mentioned earlier, I feel like I was at the right place at the right time, still am. And I've noticed that here in the UAE, you have projects flocking in because you have a strong regulatory framework. You have the venture capitalists. Maybe not venture capitalists, but you have the money. You have the sovereign wealth funds and you have the family offices that when we went through the 700-day bear market, they were the ones who were investing. And then we have the projects that are coming in because of the regulation issues elsewhere, like the US, right? But personally, I feel a slight challenge when it comes to the talent. Because I've scaled my company from 5 employees to 100 employees in 3 years. And this is where I've really found a significant challenge where I've had to fly people in from the UK and the US. And maybe it's my industry, maybe it's PR, but I'm still in Web3. I kind of want to know your thoughts on where you find the challenges, where you feel the challenges are in kind of hampering the UAE from growing.
Yeah, so I guess I'll take that one, given that you touched on both venture funding and resources, and I think those are kind of, yeah, they are somewhat related. So from a venture capital standpoint, there's been several initiatives to expedite or catalyze that process, whether it is fund of funds that invest in VCs that deploy locally. But at the end of the day, the VC industry in the Middle East had a very late start compared to other industries. Like historically, Middle Eastern family offices and people who are wealthy used to prefer to buy real estate in Knightsbridge, London, collect that yield, and then go there, visit it for the summer, and that's it. But then, as they look to diversify their sources of wealth and income, venture becomes a very interesting one. And I do think that well-funded projects are able to obtain funding in the Middle East. We at CoinMENA raised money from BitGo, which is like a traditional VC that invested in Web2 companies, and we were their first Web3 investment, and that's something that's happening over time. As for talent, the UAE had a late start in terms of technical universities. If you think of like San Francisco or other areas in the world where tech talent is abundant, or India or any other place in the world, there's usually technical universities that have strong programs that graduate these candidates. So In the UAE, unfortunately, talent has lagged. And that's why many companies, successful ones like Kareem had their business operations in Dubai, but their development team in Pakistan. Someone like Souq.com had their market in the Middle East, but their back office in Jordan, for example. And that's slowly changing over time. But I don't think that you will have all types of jobs in Dubai. You will have more qualified, higher paying jobs in Dubai, and you will have back office in countries that are more affordably priced. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a model. Like, you don't have back office functions of banks sitting in New York, and that's there for a reason. So I think we'll see the same in Dubai, where you'll have highly sought out skilled labor and skilled employees in Dubai, and more back office functions in adjacent, more affordable markets.
Maybe when you add on to that, you can also answer about the 9% tax.
I think there's a couple of things here. So if you look at what the main source of income is here, Dubai is fairly unique because it has a very low dependency on oil and gas, whereas Abu Dhabi Inc. is a predominantly oil and gas culture. All right. So if I look at the technology and the human capital that supports that, it's actually there. So what I'm finding in our business is that we're taking a nation that is abundant in natural resources, where we are able to find, I would say, 80 to 90% of our technical talent when we're looking at energy projects. Then how do we apply the Bitcoin mining process to it to create the energy solution? So what is interesting is that we're sort of sitting in that hybrid of putting together the blockchain technology into the energy solution that we provide. And that's the talent that we're currently bringing in as well. But because we have a global approach to it, where we've set up our first 250 megawatt facility in Abu Dhabi. And that's a great showcase to us that this can be done here. We've created a significant Bitcoin mining farm or a mine that is literally providing energy solutions. And it's a great showcase of what we can actually further build, not only here, but regionally and globally as well out of here.
Yeah, so we're still scaling up here, so we haven't really come across the talent shortage challenges yet. But, my thoughts are, if you create a really attractive environment, which I think Dubai's and UAE has done very well, low tax environment, an easy place to move, family friendly, I think a lot of talent will be dragged here. And it was actually one of the many considerations I looked at before I made the move here myself.
Well, wait until you scale to 100 employees and the Emiratization rule comes in, and you have to hire 2 Emiratis, and you meet a front desk who wants $10,000 a month. True story.
We look forward to that problem.
So, but yeah, I guess it's a good problem for the people here. Culturally, I want to talk about kind of some of the factors here, because Talal, like CoinMENA, last time we spoke on CNBC, and I produced the first ever crypto show on CNBC Arabia in English. I actually got a lot of backlash for the show being in English. So culturally, sometimes I faced a little bit of issues here. And Talal, you have angles that kind of target the audience being Sharia compliant. How important of a role does that play?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one because I'm technically a German national and I don't speak German. So that's been a significant, like if I benchmark it against that, like first time I ever went to Germany was like, hello, V Gates. I'm like, sorry, can't. So yeah, that's, I guess I make that point to say that in this is something that's very cultural. If English is my second language, but I kind of expect everyone to speak English, which is something that's naive and related to my upbringing. So I had to properly learn Arabic when I worked in Saudi, because I'd speak to many colleagues in English and they'd be like, yeah, sorry, I don't speak English. So I do understand both sides of you, I guess. But I would say that Dubai English is something that's super common. If you'd worked in Saudi, Kuwait, Qatar, you'd see that Dubai is way more advanced in terms of being bilingual. But again, the official language here is Arabic, so I do understand both sides of you. But I guess I'm not the best person to ask because these are the two languages that I speak. My experience with German is very different because they were kind of offended. You know, how are you German and you don't speak German? But yeah, so I guess I understand both sides of you.
What are some challenges you guys have faced, kind of culturally blending in here, if any?
Yeah, it's pretty early for me to comment on that 1 month in, but I guess like there is a language issue. You know, we see this region not just the UAE, but a lot of diverse countries very close by that all speak different languages, have different approaches from a marketing standpoint that will work. You know, generally across all of our entities, we communicate in English, and we find that very effective. But as we grow, I can probably imagine that we'll scale up and we'll add sort of local headcount that can speak these local languages. There's been a few issues incorporating the business, knowing what sort of documentation we need to provide, things of that nature, normal sort of teething issues. Yeah, probably a bit too early to comment further on that.
Yeah, please add on to that.
I was just going to say that we have been here. I've been in the region for almost 20 years. I think I don't call them cultural issues. I call them cultural optimizations. I found that this was the first region in the entire world that embraced crypto, and at a time where you had very powerful, impactful global thought leaders who were so negative on crypto, and now you're watching all of them fold, getting into it because they realize they're getting left behind, right? So when I sit here and I say, interesting that you are getting backlash for not having your show in Arabic, I think that's a great problem because it showed that there were a lot of people very interested in the subject matter which you were focusing on.
And I believe it takes two to tango. So if I got the backlash, I did my part in making sure that I could kind of blend in. When I first met Talal on the show, I realized I was pronouncing everything wrong, from Sharia instead of Sharia and Qatar instead of Qatar. And now I can read fluently and I can say, Assalamu alaikum, ana ismi Nikita Sashsev wa aishu fi Dubai. So I am learning, and I think that's important, right? You have to put a little bit of effort into blending in. So let's talk about public markets, because Marathon is publicly listed, and Phoenix was the first crypto company to get listed on the stock exchange here at I think $2 billion valuation, something crazy like that, $370 million invested. So what's a public market scene over here?
I think we're seeing a very clear roadmap. This is probably a very interesting time where companies that are looking to raise capital into the global south, to look at LATAM, Africa, the Middle East, India, South Asia. There's no other capital market that's as buoyant. London, unfortunately, is currently going through a major, what I call financial hibernation process. I don't see that waking up for some time. The capital markets in Hong Kong are waking up, and we hope to hear about Animoca Brands taking their company public there by the end of this year or Q1 of the next year. So we're seeing a very unique opportunity to go out there and create and be part of the positive narrative of a unique company providing energy solutions using Bitcoin mining as one of the processes. And as my colleague Jason had said before, it's about bringing in and activating all the opportunities within the entire region. So I think, Nikita, we're just getting started. I think we have a long way to go, and I'm looking forward to seeing. I can tell you right now from my conversations with some of the top lawyers here, there's about 6 to 8 IPOs coming out on ADX in the next 90 to 120 days. All the bankers I speak with, all the advisors, absolutely. This is the time for the Global South. And this is a unique place because you've got the right captivity in terms of sovereign, family office, institutional capital, and every institutional family or every institutional player is looking to set up in ADGM. The family offices are looking at Dubai, so there's enough to go around. That's how we see it.
And it's those big players that make the UAE a hub, after all,
Absolutely.
right? A crypto hub.
Absolutely.
Would CoinMENA ever go public?
So the CoinMENA is not publicly listed yet.
Yet.
I've spoken to Tadawul, DFM, and ADX. And we do have, like when I tell the team what's the game plan is to eventually go public. And from a macro standpoint or country strategy standpoint, the best way to improve wealth inequality is having your population own equity, because you get wealthy by owning equity and not by spending your time to make that 9-to-5 job. So I think Saudi Arabia did it excellently with listing Aramco, because Aramco is like a massive cash cow, and now the general public can own 100 riyals worth of Aramco and start making those returns. So I very much believe in generating wealth by owning equity, and CoinMENA is not public yet. Inshallah, in the coming years, with the support of everyone, we'll be able to do that. But where we go public, it's good to have that healthy competition between those different markets. But I'd say ADX is probably the most active. Tadawul is the largest in the region, but yeah, that healthy competition is going to be something that's good for companies like ourselves that want to eventually go public.
Yeah, so BitGo is a private company, obviously. If Mike Balshi was sitting here, my CEO, he'd probably have some comments on whether we would IPO, but it's probably not something for me to say. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that would probably be the natural route for us. When that happens, I'm not sure, but hopefully sooner rather than later.
Like here or in the US?
It would be US for sure.
Yeah, awesome, cool. So I think we've come to time, but for the last question, I think I just would like to ask what your advice is for investors and companies that are looking to set up shop here, to move here, or to kind of garner more traction and make the most out of being over here.
I mean, Zaid, who had discounts to our marketing. Sign up on CoinMENA. That would be my piece of advice. We're hosting the event.
Chilling.
Easy one. It's
Fantastic.
that would be my advice. And not investment advice, but I'd like everyone here to set up an account on CoinMENA.
Thank you, Talal. I think the one thing that I would tell anyone coming here is that you need to articulate the solution and the value that you can provide to this growing ecosystem, all right? I think I was telling this to someone today at lunch where if I look at crypto, a digital asset 1.0, it was everybody taking from the communities, right? You effectively raised $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 million based on a white paper, and your coin went up. There was no incentive for you to build out. So you effectively did a reverse IPO. And you left, all right? And a lot of people were holding nothing. In this case now, I always say you either earn or you learn, all right? We've now learned. If you're not providing a solution, go and find one, all right? Gone are those days where you come here and you expect people to just throw money at you. That's not going to happen. There's a level of sophistication here, and I tell everyone that private equity was originated from Kuwait. They were the leaders in global private equity. So they're very sharp out here. Do your homework well, and make sure you're providing a solution that is part of the national development agenda if you want to be successful. That's what I would tell anyone.
Yeah, I would say if you're
Better advice than
And sign up for CoinMENA, please.
Yeah, I'll third that motion. Look, if you're looking for a region that has very clear regulatory guidelines for crypto, a very business-friendly environment, is in a fantastic geographic location, and allegedly has good weather most of the time, this is the place to be.
not this week.
Yeah, except this week.
Someone told me it never rains here, which
Yeah, I know. But yeah, no, that's fantastic. I think there's so much to learn from this region. Personally, I know how much I've learned from being in this region. I think it's exemplary for other jurisdictions to see they are actually implementing real world use cases here. And you guys don't even know it. Like walking through the airport, that technology is on the blockchain. Dubai police, stolen passports as NFTs. You don't even know it. It's implemented here. It's amazing. It's so far advanced. I'm so grateful for being in the region. And thank you so much for listening to our panel and being attentive on this one and the last panel. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nikita. Talal. Thank you. Thank you.